I wanted to do a bit of an update on the Canada Post strike because this is a fascinating thing to me because I'm waiting on some stuff that was supposed to arrive today and didn't again. And on Friday I was supposed to receive something that eventually showed up, and when it showed up the packaging was broken, and I was really glad it was just batteries because if it had been anything else that had been flung around like that, it would have been completely busted to crap. This is getting ridiculous. I have certain expectation with mail that is not currently being met. And while I identify with what the union goes through and with what the union's fighting for, there's also a memo that's come out that's kind of troubling. They've told union members if you accept any kind of overtime or you work on your rotating day off, you're out of the union. I and this is one of those things where unions are good and they do good things for people. Unions also manage to tie your hands, and I know that from past experience as well, that there were times where the union helped me, and then there were times that the union kind of kicked me while I was down. I know there was a case where at my old job, you weren't allowed to ask for your vacation pay whenever you wanted. That was the first job I'd had where I wasn't allowed to ask for my vacation pay. And the answer was, that's a union decision because some people in the plant kept asking for their vacation pay. So when their vacation came up, they didn't have any pay to cover the vacation. And I answered with, I've had jobs for 20 years. I've never had a problem with my vacation pay, but I'm not allowed to have it because Joe Schmo down on the floor can't manage theirs. And management went, yep. It was really, really frustrating. So again, for people who work for Canada Post and want to help get things delivered, this is a frustrating time. Now, Canada Post was planning on, I'm going to go ahead and read this right from the article, planning to deliver 500,000 parcels across the country this weekend to keep pace with Christmas, because 3.6 million parcels were delivered last Christmas by Canada Post. The idea that it's completely outdated and outmoded and we don't need it anymore, 3.6 million parcels in Canada were delivered last year. So they wanted to deliver 500,000 this week, or this weekend, and instead they only delivered 30,000. The Canadian Senate was told there are over a million pieces of mail waiting to be delivered. So the backlog is getting worse and worse. Not all of us have felt it yet, but everybody eventually will. Packages being delayed, packages not showing up. And then the problem is the longer that it's in there, the more chance that potentially it might get damaged along the way. And how many of us have got a package, including mine on Friday, that you get and you go, this probably wasn't packed with holes in it. This probably wasn't packed with things broken when they sent it. And I have my concern. Now, there's back to work legislation that reaches the Canadian Senate this morning. They're supposed to vote this evening. Back to work legislation for the union. It'll be interesting to see how the union deals with this, because in 2011 the Harper government sent them all back to work with back to work legislation, which the Supreme Court of Canada said violated their constitutional right to strike. They're not declared an essential service, and they're not going to be. The idea that mail is going to be essential service, I would totally understand if it was considered that. An essential service cannot go on strike. So doctors, that kind of thing, you can't go on strike. But it's a tricky situation because I understand what's going on. Canada Post, they're not really negotiating. They're just saying, here's what we're offering you guys, and if you don't like it, we don't care. And so the union has been fighting this fight for a very long time. And sadly, when you go on strike, it makes you look bad to the rest of the country. And I know people are saying, stuff about whatever they make. And yeah, there are Canada Post workers who make very good money. And they do perform an important service. I know there was a movement to end door-to-door service in Canada. So you'd all have those boxes on your block, and or a post office box at your local post office. For people who live in remote locations, that didn't work. So after there was enough fight about it, the Canadian government rescinded that idea and said, okay, we're going to deliver to everybody. Still, we're going to leave everything the same, which is great for people in remote locations. But as a business plan going forward, it doesn't really work. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with this from here. once that back to work legislation goes through, because again, we need our mail. We need to do that, and this is why I'm getting stuff delivered to the house instead of the post office box right now. Richmond is on strike right now today. The rotating strikes are Richmond, Vancouver. I think it said West Van as well, maybe Burnaby. Richmond is where the sorting office is. So anything that you mail from Eastern Canada out here, or if it comes from the States or wherever, it goes through Richmond first, and then it gets distributed from Richmond. So the fact that that's where the strike is today means it's just not happening. There's nothing for me to go and check right now, and it's frustrating. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I know this isn't really TV or music related, but it's really not hockey related, so I'll post it on this channel. But let me know how it's affecting you if you're Canadian, if you have a business, and how you guys feel about back to work legislation and about a union threatening to throw people out of the union for doing certain things. I know there were times where I would say I would, at my old job I used to work regularly through breaks and lunches. And I had people saying if the union ever found out, they could get you out of the union for that. And I'm like, really? Really? Because I pay union dues every 2 weeks. So if I could stop paying those union dues, is that what I have to do? Because I'll do it. So yeah, I didn't really have any fear of being thrown out of the union, even though then I'm basically out of a job. But, I did work through breaks and lunches when I saw that it needed to be done. And I couldn't go and sit down and enjoy a break knowing that that portion of work needed to be done or whatever. And that was mostly when I did shipping stuff, where I'd be like, I'm just going to work because this shipment has to get out. We have to get this truck out. So yeah, whatever. I'll just skip that break. If it's lunch, I don't care. I'll skip lunch. So, again, I would let management know. Management would make sure they adjusted my pay so that I got paid for it. But if the union had found out, I could have got an email like Canada Post workers got regarding don't do any overtime. And it's like, you're a service company, so you should really focus on the service too. I understand you guys need to get paid, but PR is huge in a strike. Okay, I'm done. Let me know your thoughts. I'll talk to you again soon.